What is up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at a deck that may not be on everyone's radar, but Arceus Duraludon is coming back into prominence because of its Skyscraper ability, which prevents all damage from Pokemon with abilities on it. Or not abilities, special energy. And now that gets really good right now because decks like LUGIA'S, LUGIA or other Arceus variants are becoming very popular. So what's the best way to combat a lot of special energy in the format? Well, let's bring back Duraludon. It was good against Mew. It'll be good against Lugia. And I think it's one of those decks that always sets up and can get the job done. So let's talk about the counts in the deck. We've got a 4th 2 Arceus line. We just want to get the Arceus V out more often than not, and we just need one V-Star to really pop off with the ability and use Trinity Nova. It doesn't even matter if we use Trinity Charge a lot of the time, just to power up one Duraludon. And the second one we can take our time with, because usually our path is going to go arc into 2 Duraludon Vmaxes, so that's kind of the route we want to take. There's a 2-3 Duraludon Vmax line. Now, that's a little bit of a weird count. I know what you guys are thinking, but we do have a copy of Single Strike Mustard, and I play 2 copies of Ordinary Rod to be able to recycle those Duraludons if one does happen to go down. The supported line is 3 copies of Research, 3 copies of Boss, 2 Marnie, 1 Mustard, 1 Raihan, and 1 Karen's Conviction. Now, the Marnie and Research are just standard staple draw. We've got 3 copies of Boss, no copies of Serena, because I just feel like Boss gets the job done better in a deck like this, because I don't really want to discard cards all that often, and I feel like if we have to kind of fill our hand up to 5, it's not exactly what we want to do all the time. 1 Single Strike Mustard, because if we do get the cheese off with the Starbirth and are able to go into the Mustard on turn 1 or turn 2 or whatever, it's worth pulling it off. We do have a copy of Raihan in case Duraludon gets knocked out and we have to power one up like right away, or an Arceus gets knocked out without being able to attack and we need to power a Duraludon up right away. It's very important. I have 1 copy of Karen's Conviction, which says, during your turn, your single strike Pokemon does 20 more damage to your opponent's active for each prize card they have taken. So with 4 prizes taken, we're swinging for 80 more damage, which puts us in good range to one-shot a lot of things in this format with Duraludon. And I think that's really good to just have a swing turn like that, because our opponents don't necessarily always expect us to have a swing turn. They expect Duraludon to be hitting for 220, and that's it. So they're going to be planning their game plan around 220 is going to be coming my way. And so I need to only play for 220. But if you have the potential to hit for 300 or the potential to hit for 320 out of nowhere, you can just take that last 2 prizes and your opponent has nothing to really do about it. 4 copies of Ultra Ball, 3 copies of Quick Ball. We want to get Ultra Balls out for the Mustard as well as finding our bigger pieces. That's all we really care about. The Quick Ball is not as necessary because we need to get Duraludons out onto the board or the Arceus out onto the board, and then after that we don't really care. 3 copies of Pokegear, just to dig for our supporters. They're pseudo supporters and a burnable card. 2 Hyperpots and 2 Switch. We need pivot cards, and Hyperpots are really good in the turns we need them. 2 copies of Evo Incense as well. If we draw them, they're get out of jail free cards. If not, they're a burnable card to find what we need. 2 copies of Ordinary Rod, because I do think decks are going to be playing cards like Horn, and having our energies being able to be recycled is going to be very important, because we only have 3 copies of Fighting. And so if one of our Duraludons goes down to like an Amazing or Yveltal or a Mew or something, we're gonna need to put them back. Also, I'm very scared of Horn with this deck. That's why it is right now. 1 copy of Big Charm, just make our guys beefier, especially the Arc and Tatinas and stuff like that. And then 1 copy of Parasol to put on our Duraludon so we don't get popped by a Giratina Star Requiem immediately. If we put that big Parasol there, or put the big Parasol on when we're up against Sableye Lost Box, the matchup becomes unlosable in my opinion, because their crams are hitting for 110, which does not do nearly enough, and we can just out-heal them with our Crystal Caves and stuff like that across the board. We have 1 copy of Choice Belt to get to our Arceus to 210 or 230 if we need to, and then this guy can go up to 250 as well if we need to with the Karen's Conviction early on. I do feel like the Choice Belt can power up another Arceus and potentially do some damage if they're not prepared for it. We have 4 copies of Crystal Cave as our Stadium of Choice. You can also play Tower of Darkness, but I don't like discarding. We don't have that many single strike cards, so I don't really think we need it. Crystal Cave bounces path. Crystal Cave heals a Duraludon. Crystal Cave is busted. We have a 6-4-3 energy split that's been pretty standard across the board for the last little bit. So with all that being said, let's jump into some gameplay for Arceus Duraludon. Okay, that was weird. Sorry, there was some technical difficulties and the client crashed for some reason. But what I was trying to say, guys, is I wanted to show you guys some new VMAX with Fusion Strike energy today. But the problem is that Forest Seal Stone is not active on the client, so I can't really show you guys a good depiction of what the deck looks like, because I want to show you guys the Seal version. So let me know in the comments below what other decks you want to see. I know there's some fun suggestions in the comments already, but I'm going to be playing Arc Duraludon today. I don't know what tomorrow's even going to bring. I was going to record some stuff ahead of time and have them done, but I had a really busy day running errands. So we do start the Arceus, which is perfect. That's like literally all we're looking for. If we find a DTE here, we're like big chillin'. Like that's probably the best card that we can find. We can greed here and Ultra Ball away the boss and the energy. we're up against Reggies. So maybe we don't greed as hard because we have just a guaranteed game effectively if we can get the Duraludon up and running. The one problem with Reggie is they can Regice us, like, to Regice us until we can lose the game potentially. But we can always just retreat between Duraludons, I guess, is like the thing with the rods. If we establish 2 Duraludons, we just can't lose, I think. And the ice is just, I don't know. I feel like their ice strategy, or like their setup and like stall with ice strategy, doesn't really always work because we can outlast them with our Marnies and our rods and stuff like that in this instance. So let's see how many energies they discard. They pitch the rod and belt here, it looks like. My opponent is just unwary that this belt might be useful for them down the line. So no energies hitting the discard turn 1 immediately, which is really good for us because if energies hit the discard, then we have to be scared of something. But right now, nothing has happened. I see a steal on board. No Drago in the active either. No Drago on the board. So either they've got a supporter already in hand, or they're okay with this, like a Lucky dying. I feel like at this point, a Drago should have been pulled out. At least. So I'm not 100%. There's a capture. Pulling the Drago out, I'm sure, here. It's got to be the Drago. Yeah, there's a Drago. And we're probably going to see a net here, picking up the Lucky. Nope, just my turn. So we're going to go ahead and... I don't know what our opponent thinks about this play. They have to have a research or something in their hand, I feel like. So we're going to go ahead and attach here. A double turbo will retreat the Reggie Lucky into the Drago. So I think I'm going to be a little bit greedy and just bring up the Registeel and pass. Oh, I didn't mean to attach here. That was stupid. I meant to attach to the active. Okay. Okay, you know what? We dig our grave. Okay, there's the net. There is the net that I did expect to see. I blanked. That's totally on me, guys. But, oh well. Reggie Drago's going to draw some cards here. If this RCS goes down, we are geniuses, though. Because we totally knew this was going to happen, right? Like, I totally planned for this. But in case the RCS does not go down, then we're in big trouble because we made an oopsie. However, we can get like a switch and a DTE and get another Arceus V out and just Trinity Charge, which is also just a completely fine play this turn. We see the Gigas. They're playing Grass Energies here, I think specifically for a matchup like this, but there's no way they're playing also Fires and Colorlesses. Or, I mean, I guess... Yeah, I just don't think there's 2 rods in the discard now, which is very crucial to note for a Regigigas deck. There's a Path to the Peak, which is something that I do expect Regigigas decks to be playing moving forward. It's not an auto win, like I said, but you need to find your stadiums and stuff. Bang, that's pretty good for us. There's the Arceus. We do get punished immediately for this. It's fine. I'm going to incense the other Arceus to my hand because I want this to go to the bottom of my deck for the Marnie. We're going to have to Marnie because our hand is pretty bad. Could have Marnied last turn, but it worked out perfectly. I mean, it's fine. They Serena'd. It's okay. We got unpunished here. And now here, again, we have to make the decision, are they going to have it or not? I'm going to go ahead and bank that they will not have it and attach the steel up here. Maybe the correct decision was to attach the double turbo here and just prevent myself from getting clocked in a couple turns. There's a rock. Our hand is actually pretty bad, so I'm a little bit scared. I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is one of the more sketchy matchups, I think, on the board. I mean, it should be a really good matchup. There's a research. Okay, that's another research and a Marnie gone. That's good supporters for us. No energies have hit the discard yet, except for this grass, I guess. But they need to get 2 Auroras. There's a fire as well. So they are playing basic energies to deal with the Duraludon, which is a little bit wild to me because I didn't expect people to be doing this. I expected just heavy Path, maybe heavy Marnie, and none of this shenanigans yet. But if they don't have another energy to the discard, this attack doesn't even matter. Like, they're putting these basic energies into the discard for naught because I'm going to get a free attack off. And I would have preferred to have another guy on the board potentially to set up, but I guess it is what it is. Okay, so we'll get the double turbo. I don't really want to incense because we put bad cards at the bottom of our deck. We're going to Nova anyway, so it's fine. Let's Nova. We're going to have to hope our prize cards are pretty good. I think we'll just take these. I do have the Hyper Potion in our hand, so we can do more if we want to. But because of the lack of Auroras in our opponent's discard, I'm not really afraid of being one-shot, and I think this Arceus can go a little more the distance. There's a double turbo as well to heal if we need to with the Hyper Potion. Not intended by design, but I know I'll take it. Can't complain too much. Yeah, we're going to see the Regice hit the board. Mr. Ice is going to try to hit into us here. Maybe Boston hit into us to the benched Drago or Duraludon. To just kind of force us into a weird situation, maybe. Or this Regice is just bait. Like, we're just going to sack this. We're going to see the Serena. This has got to be discard fodder. If, again, our opponent's looking for those Aurora energies that are eluding them, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they don't have them. They're digging through the deck very quickly, though. So we are in a kind of a pickle, all things considered. A boss hits the discard. A Regigigas hits the discard. And there's still 2 rods in there. So we have to keep that in mind when we're looking at the overall setup of the game. No energies, once again, are in the discard. So if our opponent burns through 1 more rod, for some reason, they're in just a bad spot. I think 1 more rod is our go signal. Regigigas hitting the discard probably implement. I just said 1 more rod is our go signal. Oh my god, I'm the best. So there is the rod. And now we're feeling mighty comfortable. There's 3 rods in the discard. Our opponent's playing a Pokegear. They probably have a net, or they're just going to grab a Drago here with Regigate. Yeah, that seems fine. I have to also assume, because they put the Gigas in the discard, they're playing 3 copies of Gigas. And we saw 2 Heavy Balls, I think, already, because one's in the Heavy Ball prizes, because they pulled out the Regice. There's the Drago. Top deck boss would be pretty clean here. We have the Rod now, so we're not super worried about what could happen to us. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively... I don't think so, actually. Let's pull out cards that we don't want to see. So we don't want to see this guy, so let's pull him out. And now we can just go ahead and swing once again with the Trinity Nova. Just taking another prize. I don't need to accelerate any energy, I don't feel like. We're okay. We have some energy prize, so we could pull one here. Ultra Ball is good. Ultra Ball gets us the chance to set up another Duraludon here. And if we can set up a second Duraludon, I think the game does, in fact, end. So, we're going to see the Drago here. Our opponent is kind of on fumes. They have 1 capture, a fire, and a grass in the discard, which is nothing. There's a choice belt on the active Drago. I feel like you always put that on the rock. I think you have to. There's another Serena. We're just going to put a Twin in the discard, which is a pretty good card to put there, because that can go on the Gigas. And Gigas can one-shot this Duraludon. Like, I feel like the choice belt should have gone on either one of these 2. And not the active. We're going to see another path hitting the discard. 2 paths in the discard is also something important to note. We're going to see the Ancient Wisdom. Are we just going to power up the Gigas and maybe there's a rope here? That's the most likely play. Keep in mind, guys, we do play 4 copies of Crystal Cave, and we've played 4 cards. There are 4 cards in our discard pile. So, we're definitely struggling a little bit. We're going to see 190 come through. Now, the question is, do we feel like this 190 is worth healing? And I think the answer is yes. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to Hyperpot the active. We're going to go ahead and discard this Double Turbo. And I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball these. I feel like the Mustard's probably fine to keep in our hand. Let's get rid of these 2. Because I can Rod back the... guy and then do that. So let's do it this way. We've got the Rod for next turn. Potentially, whatever we draw is going to determine if we can Mustard or not. But for the time being, let's just go ahead and swing. Take a 3rd prize with our Arceus. Accelerate onto our board. Get some more energies on there. Take our 3rd prize. Put ourselves in a really dominant position now. There's a Quick Ball that almost guarantees we can Mustard out this Duraludon. I don't think we need 3 Duraludons in play. I think that's just bad, actually. But, you know, the more the merrier. I mean, I can Mustard and fail it and just draw 5, which is also super fine. There's another research. Our opponent pitches another Rock, which is really important to note. A Rock, a second Path. There's 1 Drago already in the discard, and there's 3 rods. So our opponent is running on... There's 4 rods. So now any Regis that are knocked out will stay knocked out. I don't think there's any more recovery than rods in these Regi decks. So, wait, I didn't see what got shuffled back in. rock and ice, it looks like. So our opponent's going to try to win through those rock and ice. But now we know if we kill this Drago or kill this Steel, our opponent is out of Reggies. Like, those Reggies are no longer in the game. The third path to the peak hits the discard, which means now this last path to the peak that's in play currently is the last path to the peak. So once this path to the peak is gone, our opponent can no longer attack us for the game. Well, they have the basic energies, but they can only use Reggie Drago's attack. So we have effectively won the game. The game is over. Sayonara. I think we just have to find one Crystal Cave. Yeah, I mean, one Crystal Cave. We get our Starbirth. We get all our access to stuff. We're going to see the Ancient Wisdom come through here, and our opponent has to just pass, unfortunately, for them. So we're chilling. We're going to go ahead and get the Duraludon Vmax into play. We're going to see the Quick Ball. I'm going to go ahead and fail it. We'll go ahead and Rod. Just putting the fighting back. Endless Mustard. We're going to fail. We don't need, you can fail Mustard, by the way. You just get 5 cards. There's a Crystal Cave. And that should be a wrap on the game. I mean, we can even Starbirth cards into our hand now. But there's no more path, though. We don't have to, I mean, I could get knocked out, I guess, next turn. So it's just worth it to Starbirth now. Let's just do it. Let's just Starbirth now. Giving ourselves a big charm. And probably a switch to just rotate around our pieces. On the off chance that we get smacked into by this ice next turn. I mean, the Drago is very obviously going to come in next turn, but we're going to fail that search again. Could pull out a card. We're up to, yeah, that's the game. You guys saw Reggie's is a good matchup, not just for the reason that they have to extend resources to get where they need to be, but we can win off the back of that. So thank you guys for watching. That was actually a pretty exciting game. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see next. I will do my best to oblige. So thank you so much.